Hi Lisa,
Hi, Melinda.
how are you?
I'm great. Thank you very much. How are you?
I am good, thank you. Welcome to the Global Virtual Summit 2025, Lisa.
Glad
Yeah,
to be here.
yeah. Yeah, Lisa, before going to your session, I would like to introduce you to our audience. Yeah. Lisa is a dynamic MC, keynote speaker, and professional development trainer known for her charismatic presence and humorous Brooklyn style storytelling. She is the founder and CEO of Careers Advance, where she partners with organizers and enhance talent engagement and performance. Since 2001, Risha has delivered over 1,700 impactful sessions and inspiring more than uh, 50,000 individuals worldwide. With 17 years of experience across diverse industries, she holds a marketing degree from Branch College and multiple certifications in behavioral science, including DISC and emotional intelligence. In her free time, she enjoys football, golf, bowling, movies, travel, and has a deep love for pizza. Such an inspiring bio, and you are a wonderful woman. Uh, that was a great bio, Lisa, and stage is yours.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Melinda. I appreciate that warm welcome. And thank you all for joining us. We're starting a little late, and it's really a perfect segue into what we're talking about today. We do have a limited amount of time, obviously. So I'm going to encourage you all to scan the QR code on the screen and follow me on LinkedIn. So if you want more content, if you want to connect with me live after this, if we don't get to your question, you can follow me on LinkedIn, send me a message, follow me on Instagram for content and engagement. And I really appreciate that you're all going to be here. And that's QR code will come up in a few more times. So if you don't catch it, you'll catch it again. All right. I think it's time to get uncomfortable. Do you remember when you were a child, say around 8 or 9 years old, and you're in class, and the teacher says, "Does anyone have any questions?" And you want to raise your hand, but you don't. You're like, "Oh, that's a stupid question." So you don't ask it. And a second later, another student asks that same question, and the teacher says, "That's a great question, Marty." Like, "Oh, that was my question." And then do you remember it happens again, maybe in high school or college, when the professor says, "Anybody have any thoughts?" And you want to share a thought, but you don't because you're thinking, "Oh, these people are going to think I'm an idiot. How did I get to this class? I'm not going far in life." And then a second later, a classmate shares a similar thought. And all of a sudden, this great intellectual discussion happens. Oh, I could have started that discussion. It was my thought. Do you remember the last time you held back from asking a question or sharing a thought? Maybe in a meeting last week, maybe at this conference yesterday. Some people think it's not a big deal, so you don't ask a question or raise your hand to share an idea. I do think it's a big deal. I think when we don't share our question or our thought, we lose out. We lose out on opportunities to learn, opportunities to share our own knowledge, and opportunities to impact a life. I'm not saying we should ask every question and share every idea, but for the most part, when we don't share, when we're too afraid, we think someone, is judging us, we lose out on opportunities to learn, share ourselves, and impact a life. And that comes from self-doubt. And there's so many points in our lives that we have self-doubt. I remember when I started a job at Wall Street, well, the interview when I was going for a job on Wall Street, and they were a little concerned that I was going to be okay in this male-dominated environment, and it's kind of crude. And I was confident. I said, I can handle it. I grew up with 3 brothers, no problem. First day on the job, whoa, crazy atmosphere. I said, oh my gosh. And all the things that they were throwing at me, I said, oh my gosh, they hired a fraud. I was lying when I told them I was confident. Ooh, crazy time. Just a few years ago, I was hired to do virtual talks for a company organization out in Australia. And for 3 years, I was doing virtual webinars, virtual keynotes. And then they said, hey, we'd love you to come out in person and keynote our conference. As soon as I signed the contract, I was excited. And then a split second later, I said, oh my gosh, for the last 3 years, they've only seen me virtually. Now I'm going to go out in front, live on stage, in front of hundreds of people, and they're going to think, this is the person, this is the magician behind the screen. Man, I had a lot of doubt heading out to that. When I was 40, I met an amazing man. He could just do about anything. He can fix computers. He could practically build a house, incredibly intelligent. He can play music. And I thought, whoa, what do I have? This guy's out of my league. There's so many moments that I just felt like I wasn't worthy or good enough, or that I didn't measure up. Am I the only one that feels that insecurity? Do you? Can you get vulnerable with me here? I just shared a few thoughts about situations where I felt significant self-doubt. Can you throw it in the chat? Can you share a moment where you felt significant self-doubt? Mackenzie, Liddy, Debbie, Emily, Yoretzi, Linda, Owenka, Bridget, love to hear from you. Share a situation where you have felt self-doubt. Fear of judgment, Debbie. Yeah, just literally fearing how people are going to think about us. Speaking in front of many people for the first time, Bridget. And me, not only the first time, every time I go on stage, I feel self-doubt. People think, oh, she's all that. She's confident. She's never nervous. It couldn't be farther from the truth. What about applying for a new job? Applying for a new school program? Asking someone out on a date? There's so many opportunities where self-doubt comes into play, and we fear being judged. And this was actually thought of back in 1978, this whole phenomenon of self-doubt, from a psychology grad student. She was saying to herself, why do I feel like I'm going to fail a test when I've already passed 8 of them? She couldn't seem to give herself credit for what she knew and what she learned, and that she was going to pass and be good and be successful. And then when she became a professor, she had a group of female students in the room and found out they feel that way too. And there was a phenomenon of how women were brought up. There was sort of these two dichotomies of environments where a woman was compared to her siblings. The siblings, the male siblings, were considered smart, intelligent, and the female siblings was considered kind and socially adept. So now I have to work at, the woman had to work at saying, no, I'm intelligent too. Now I have to keep proving it. And then the other type of environment growing up is where the woman was considered hailed natural, great at everything that she did. So then when she came to a stumbling block where she didn't feel confident, well, now she's questioning her abilities. Maybe I'm not smart. Maybe I'm not good. Right? Well, study upon study upon study shows that more than 82% of the population feel this. It's called imposter syndrome, where it's the persistent inability to recognize one's success, that they earned it. They put on this face, but behind you, oh, that's all incompetence, incompetency. Right? More than 82% of the people experience imposter syndrome, where they're putting on that mask. And the other 18% are actually ashamed to admit it, ashamed that they feel less than, that they feel incompetent. And after years and years of study, it's not just a woman thing. It was born from women, which makes it sound natural because women came into the workforce later in history and got into the schools later in history. So now we have to feel like we have to prove ourselves. And we grew up, being compared to men all the time. But imposter syndrome doesn't just affect women. It's not a gender thing. And it's not just in high academia. It's in all industries, all fields. And typically, it's from high, successful people, ambitious people, right? Like you and I. And you might be surprised how many people and the types of people that feel imposter syndrome. Scientists, athletes, chefs, celebrities, politicians, CEOs. You look at these people and say, they're confident, they know what they're doing. they feel it too. They have that sense of, how am I going to succeed? I don't believe that I just did it, and now how am I going to do it again? Oh, it was just a fluke. It was a one-time wonder that I did well. How did I get here? I don't earn this. I didn't earn this spot. Millions of people across the globe are feeling imposter syndrome. And you may be feeling it too. And maybe you're thinking, so what? Great. Now I know that we all feel it. We all have imposter syndrome. So what? Well, I believe it is important to address it. I'm grateful that mental health issues have become more visible in society. There's less of a stigma around it. We talk about it, we think about it, we address it, right? It's more in the mainstream. Well, imposter syndrome, it's not a mental condition. It's not a disease. It's something that happens to us. And if we don't address it, we don't look into it, it could have some serious repercussions. Imposter syndrome can lead to anxiety. Oh, I'm not good enough. I'm not going to throw my hat in the ring for that job. I'm not going to ask that promotion, right? And we lose sleep over it. Our head gets so muddy with that self-doubt. We get anxious all the time that we don't try something new. We don't trust ourselves. Imposter syndrome can lead to burnout, where we constantly feel we have to prove ourselves, do more, be more. And we get exhausted from that. Imposter syndrome can lead to depression, that low self-esteem, questioning ourselves all the time. And we start to sort of withdraw and disengage from meetings. We disengage from conversations, and we start withdrawing from the world. Yeah, I see that, Bridget. So muddy with that self-doubt. Yes, it kind of clouds our mind. And it can even lead to suicidal thoughts and tendencies. That's how strong imposter syndrome could go. So the reason I talk about imposter syndrome now is I want to create an awareness about it, allowing ourselves to feel okay with admitting our self-doubt. You're in good company, right? And talking about it. Now, I want to do more than talk about it. Creating an awareness to get us a little more comfortable about sharing what's uncomfortable for us, and then looking at how we can combat it. So what I want to do in the short time we have today is give a process of how to deal with the imposter syndrome when it comes up for you, right? What can we do when imposter syndrome comes up? Well, for the first thing to understand that, it is rooted in trauma. The way we grew up, what we saw, what we heard, what we experienced, what we witnessed, it is rooted in that. And we kind of develop mechanisms for dealing for what we saw and what we heard. It could be big trauma where we're told you're not good enough, you're worthless. That's huge. And we internalize that. We start to believe it. It could be small pieces of trauma where oh, why don't you be more like your brother? Why don't you do more like this person in class? Oh, now we've got to try to figure out how to be somebody different, right? Small trauma. Hey, even good trauma. You're great at everything. Oh, now I have to be good at everything. Right? Imposter syndrome is rooted in the trauma that we grew up with. And this is not about blaming our parents and our teachers and our people of authority and people around us. It is simply about understanding where our trauma is coming from and what it means to us and how we have developed mechanisms to cope with it. Well, let's develop some mechanisms for coping with it. Starting with welcoming it. The next time you feel anxious, you feel like, nope, this is not right for me. I'm not good for this. The next time you feel that, most people say, oh, just throw it away and go for it. I say, no, I say, welcome that anxiety. Open the door, let it in, and give it a seat at your table. Because that moment that you feel insecure or self-doubt, we can recognize it as a moment of greatness. We are about to step into something bigger. And that's a great thing. That means we're going to grow. We're going to stretch. And I say, welcome that anxiety because you know why? That imposter syndrome is going to come knocking again. So if we develop a positive relationship with that anxiety, we can start to shed some of the negativity and anxiety because it's going to be a good thing. And once you have a little bit of a positive relationship with the anxiety, then get to know your imposter. Different imposters knock on the door for different people. It shows up differently for us. So, for instance, your imposter could be the perfectionist. I must get everything correct. If I make one mistake, I'm going to be fired. If I make a mistake, everyone's going to think everything I've ever done was a mistake. Right? So then we work harder and harder to get everything exactly right and perfect. That perfection is saying you must be perfect in order to be good and worthy. Or maybe it's the expert that knocks on your door. The expert imposter that says you must know everything about a subject to even talk about it. So what does that mean? Oh, I now have to go get a PhD on every subject in order to actually speak up in a meeting. I got to be quiet until I know I've researched and researched and researched, and I know all the lingo and all the topic subject matters areas. And we study and we study and we study and study, and that expert is saying, "Don't speak, don't do until you know everything." Or maybe the imposter is the natural genius. Maybe that's who's showing up for you. You have to be good at it instantly. You have to be born with this knowledge, this talent, in order to be part of the team, to be valued. And then when that imposter syndrome shows up, it's like, wait a minute, if I don't get this right away, I've got to question my intelligence. I don't know what I'm doing. For me, that happens a lot. So I wind up giving up. If I don't understand it right away, I give up. Right? What about the soloist? You have to do it all yourself to be seen as worthy. Because if I ask for help, then I can't take credit. If I ask for help, I must not be smart. I must not know it enough. I must not be worthy of being part of this team. And what about the superhuman? That imposter says you must be great at everything you do in life. Otherwise, who needs you? Right? I've got to show up as the greatest parent, the greatest accountant, the greatest team member, the great, really good at helping others with everything. Right? Oh, and I can't say no, because if I say no, then, I can't handle it. I don't have the skills. Right? Once you welcome that anxiety, get to know which imposter is knocking on your door. Because then you can figure out how to knock it back, starting with questioning it. Question your imposter. Is it reality or is it your perception? More often than not, it's all in our head. We're telling ourselves what we believe other people believe, what other people see. Question your imposter. Where's your evidence that one mistake will discount all your other goodness? Where's your evidence that if you say no, no one is going to bring you into the realm of life again? They're going to think that you're worthy. Where's your evidence of that? Is it really you telling yourself, I'm unworthy? Are you making up what people see? And if you did get evidence that someone says, hey, I can't trust you because you made a mistake, does that mean everyone can't trust you? Where's your evidence that you are not good enough? Where is your evidence that you have to be perfect in order to be worthy? I say question that reality. And then don't compare yourself to anyone else. I'm about to create a new website for my new speaking business. And I'm looking at other websites to see, hey, what's out there, other MCs and whatnot. And I'm looking at, wow, look what they do. Wow, look what they do. And I'm worried about how am I going to create a website that matches that? I can't manufacture experience. Don't compare your chapter 1 to someone's chapter 20. Right? And don't think that you don't know what it took them to get there. You don't know their journey, right? And you can't be like them, and they can't be like you. Don't compare yourself to anyone else. It's one thing if you have an aspiration, hey, I love their skill, I love the way they do this, and we can learn to do that. But if you're trying to fit someone else's shoes, that's an unnecessary discomfort. Fill your own shoes. Don't worry about what other people are thinking. You can't control what they think, and you can't be other people. So when you have anxious about your imposter, don't compare yourself to anyone else. And if you're really struggling, share it out. Share it out with someone that you trust, or even a stranger. Sometimes it's easier to share it out with a stranger. That conference I said that I was hired to be an MC, I was so nervous. And I was doing an MC, keynote, and a panel moderator. I had three different roles. And I shared it with a colleague. I said, I'm really nervous about this. He said, why? I said, well, they haven't seen me in person. They've only seen me virtually. He said, well, but they hired you because of what they've seen. They hired you because of the impact that you've already had on their delegates. And they trust that you're going to have that same kind of impact because of what you've been doing. I helped to have someone share that with me and see, create my own evidence that I couldn't see before. I've done topics. I've was recently doing a panel, moderating a panel, and they didn't give me any questions. And I thought, oh my gosh, how am I going to, I don't know, how am I going to moderate this panel? I don't have any questions. I need questions. So they haven't given me the questions yet. And my other colleague says, but wait a minute, why do you need the questions right now? I said, well, I want to prepare because I want to be perfect. He said, yeah, but you do this. I mean, you're not answering the questions, you're asking the questions. I said, yeah. He said, you can get the questions 5 minutes before. And then you go do what you already know how to do. And it took me sharing it out to get a new perspective on myself. And you could share it out and find one of two things. A, you get a perspective and someone to give you your own knowledge that you weren't able to see, that you are good enough. And they can give you, hey, but I've seen you do this, but I know you can do that. And help you recognize your skill set and your value. And the other time, you might get someone to say, you know what? I'm nervous about that too. I bet if you've asked an executive, a CEO, a celebrity, all those people out on a screen, and you share with them, hey, I'm nervous about X, they're going to say, yeah, me too. And that gives you a little more comfort to know that you're not the only one. And they're working on it too. Right? And the next time someone does give you credit for something that you do, learn to take a compliment. How often do we say, yeah, but, right? Right, Melinda? We say, yeah, but, yeah, it was just a fluke. Oh, I have to prepare more. Or I just tried it and gave it a shot. Oh my gosh, I have to do that differently next time. Instead of saying, yeah, but, how about we simply say, thank you. Thank you. I worked at it. Thank you. I am naturally good at it. I'm grateful for that natural talent. I don't know why we feel the need to recognize other people's talents only to demoralize our own and discount our own. Why can't we simply say, thank you, I worked at it. Thank you. It was hard for me and I'm glad I got over it. Thank you. It's a good skill that I'm enjoying using. Right? Well, I'm curious. Is there something you've been wanting to do for a while now? Something that you've been wanting to for a while now. Can you share it in the chat? What's something you want? Are you a business? You want to start your own business? You want to write a book? You want to get a new job? You want to change careers? Do you want to get on stage? Do you want to try a new instrument? Can you throw it in the chat? What is something that you've been wanting to do for a while now? That your self-doubt has just been pushing you back? Skydive. Oh, Debbie, I was wanting to do that. I got closest. If you go to my Instagram page, you're going to see me doing tandem paragliding. I feel like I'm a little old to do skydiving now, but I tried that and boy, it was nerve-wracking and I just pushed myself to do it. So I hear you. Take my solo trip abroad. Shalene, thank you for sharing that. And we hesitate. Oh my gosh. Can I travel alone? What's the experience going to be like? Can I handle? I just went to Australia and had no phone service. Scary. How am I going to deal with things that are unknown? Right? Taking a new job. Am I going to be good at it? I've never done this job before. Can I change careers? Are people going to think I'm crazy for doing it? Right? Well, whatever you're looking to do, whatever you want to do, if you're feeling a self-doubt, consider the process that we just discussed. When you get anxious, welcome it. Open the door, let that anxious in. Take a deep breath and say, this is going to be bigger. This is a moment. It's telling me I'm going to be great. It's stepping into something bigger. Then get to know your imposter. The perfectionist, the soloist, the natural genius, the superhuman, the expert. Who's knocking on your door? Question them. Where's your evidence that you can't do this? Right? Break it down. Peel back that layer. Stop comparing yourself to other people. Your journey is going to be your journey. Share it out with someone so you can get some assistance there. And then learn to take that compliment. See, I'm closing up. Your comfort zone is here. Everything outside of that is uncomfortable courage. And that is where your magic happens. You are the magic. Go after it. Now let's take some questions. Thank you, Melinda.
Yeah, Lisa, that was a fantastic talk and it's an inspiring session. You nailed it.
Thank you, Melinda.
We have a few questions from our audience. I would like to ask one of them.
Sure.
Yeah. What's the first step to being brave?
The first step to being brave.
Yeah.
It's an interesting question. I appreciate that. The first step, I believe, in being brave is to know that you don't have to be brave to succeed. You know, brave is something that we kind of learn. We have to develop that muscle. So you can tell yourself, I've already been brave enough to ask that question. That's brave right there. And if I want to become brave to do something else, recognize what already you have done already. I think we forget to rely on the moments in our past that we have been brave. So I say, look back at moments where you took the mic. You could be when you were 5 years old. It could be when you were 10 years old, where you took the chance. Go find those moments where you have had courage so you can recognize that I can have courage again, that you're braver than you think. I think that would be the first step, is to recognize that you are braver than you think. So start peeling back the onion to find those moments where you were brave before.
Yeah. Thank you for your answer, Lisa.
Sure.
And thank you for your valuable time. And please stay in the backstage and join in the next session.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. If you're still